First of all, my name's Nate Sheehan. I've been at Microsoft to be 20 years in September. I have a strong infrastructure background. I was I think the fourth or fifth person hired at Microsoft worldwide on the Azure team back in 2010 when nobody knew what infrastructure as service or platform as service or software as service was. So I've got a lot of cloud experience. I've helped some of the largest customers in the world with their cloud transformation journeys. The last 7 years, I was in charge of the Azure Databricks relationship on our Microsoft Global Black Belt team. So literally, I helped get the first 10 customers in on Azure Databricks and the first 5 partners and helped build that out to about a $3 billion annual business. Most recently, in the last 9 months, I've taken a role in our manufacturing group, helping build our application innovation, which is essentially custom applications. So customers like you that want to build out custom applications, that's really what our team does, and we cover our 410 largest manufacturers in the U.S. I'm not going to talk to you. I will talk to you a little bit about. First of all, I want to compliment my co-presenters here today, in Banu, Taylor, and Tom. All the security stuff, the stuff that AWS is doing, all great stuff. I would actually really love to talk to you about data lakes and integration and bringing all your data together. That's actually one of my core sweet spots in my background. But today I'm going to focus a little bit more on Copilot. And also how you build custom apps and what Microsoft is doing in Copilot. We found a lot of people just don't understand fully what the power of Copilot is and how you can translate that into business. So this will be a little bit less technical on the back end and how do I integrate my data lakes and that kind of stuff, although I would love to go there and I'm happy to talk with you after that. This is going to be a little bit more on Copilot and how do you leverage that in your business today, but also how can you take what Microsoft has built and build your own Copilots, giving your own knowledge and stuff like that. So that's where we'll focus today. And in the room, if you have questions, let me know and stop me here. Ron, if you could help me online with questions, if there's anything I need to stop on, and we'll definitely cover them at the end. First of all, I think this is probably over redundant, but we had that client server. I got the gray here to prove back when I was in those days. And internet, and I was at a speaking engagement the other night. But anybody remember dial-up when we had to somebody called you and you had to have this phone line, and if somebody called you, it would kick you off the internet, and it took about 3 minutes to paint a picture. Even like my kids won't even wait 3 seconds if a picture or a video doesn't load. Just kind of where we've come with those, and then iPhone in 2007 really changed. I would argue cloud in 2009, 2010 also was another sea change. What's happening with AI, right? And I don't think it can be overhyped, is exponential as far as how quick this is going to happen. And there's going to be companies in your current spaces, in your marketplace. There's going to be new companies that come that weren't companies 3 years ago, and they're dominating the space, kind of like OpenAI took on the scene, right? And I think it can be overhyped because not everything is an AI thing, but there's going to be things that change on things that we do, and that's kind of where I kind of want to touch on. Where should you spend your time? What's a waste of time? What's a waste of time and money? So
you have this interesting graphic on the previous one, and
yep.
Every time when there is a transformation of that sort, there are companies who are from the previous generation who try to catch up to the new one, but usually the ones that succeed are the ones who go like internet first, like Google and those companies, or mobile first, like Facebook's and Instagram is a good example, mobile first. Will there be companies like you expect there will be AI first companies? Well, ChatGPT is an example already.
Yeah, so
but there will be more of them.
So good question. So for those in the room that couldn't hear, yeah. So a great question in the room. And what was your name?
Ashish.
Ashish had a question in the room where every time there was one of these transitions, there were companies that came out, and then other companies that had that as their core business couldn't catch up. Here's what's going to happen with AI. Say you have a business process. Say you're an existing company, and you guys have some IP, intellectual property that you're developing, and you're like, hey, I can use AI for this. Once you get a 6, 12, 18 months head start, and you're going to be the Kleenex of your thing. Everybody else will not, and your AI is going to improve so much so quickly, they're not going to catch up if you're on the right idea and if you're spending your money in the right areas.
Right.
And then on top of that, AI is learning on top of itself. So if you're just kind of standing still and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to, hey, I'll wait till somebody else gets to the market. If they're on the right idea and the right things, you won't catch up. You could be obsolete in some of these things. And we're seeing, I'll show you some of the stats. I mean, these aren't, like a lot of times in the past, we would talk about 5 or 10% improvements or this and that. you're talking about 60, 80, 200%, 400% improvements in things. And again, I'm not saying that's for everything, but when you attack the right business problems that you're trying to solve, it's an absolute game changer on how and what you can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's beyond scary, but it's also fun, right?
Yeah, it's fun too. I am like,
We're in a disruptive space. Well, but what Microsoft has invested in is kind of research and technology, strategic partnerships like you see with OpenAI, right? And then also responsible AI practices. And I want to talk about that because all this stuff is super important about the trustworthy computing and all that. Anybody have a round idea in the room, and this is in the room, but any idea about the amount of money that Microsoft spends annually on research and development? What's that?
50 billion,
15?
50.
It's so good guess, a little high. We're actually right around $29 billion annually. That is in a massive amount of money. Okay. And so that's going back into not just integrating our products, but also do new stuff like Ron mentioned on the quantum computing piece and all the other stuff that we're doing. $29 billion is more than I think. I don't even want to put in what a good chunk of the Fortune 500 is doing in revenue and profit, let alone we're just investing that. And that's not just last year. That's almost every year. Last year was a high water mark, but we're always in that 10, 20, 15, 18 billion, $20 billion range. So in addition to that, I don't know if you guys saw Satya announced, I think it was about 3 weeks ago on CNBC, but we have $80 billion earmarked for AI data centers around the world.
That was the number I was thinking of.
Yeah, yeah, that's a different thing, right? And you're talking about, and most of those data centers are 1 to 3 football fields in size. They're massive, massive facilities, and you start talking about the companies that can make those investments. And then also have the experience, right? It's not just the experience in enterprise software, but it's things like, Skype back in the day, or Hotmail, or 400 million users, 600 million users playing Xbox Live around the world with instantaneous response times. We've taken that experience in the consumer sector, right, over the last 15, 20 years, and applied those lessons learned to the enterprise sector and how we deliver enterprise software. So Microsoft is very uniquely positioned to do this with the AI in these investments. But I did want to give you a scope for the size of the investments. There's probably 3 or 4 companies, there's probably 5 companies in the world that could afford the investments I just talked about. There's probably 3 companies in the world that could actually take those investments and bring to fruition, given the experience that Microsoft has, right? Yep.
2 things. If you go back to the previous slide, right?
Yep.
So I'm studying the AI market right now, right? Across you and your competitors.
Good question in the room, and I'll repeat the question in just a second.
So I'm kind of looking at the landscape, right? Now, the punchline that you have enabling customers to do more with less, responsible AI practices. I think Microsoft with OpenAI is a early mover, like you guys already are way ahead of some of your competitors, right? Because OpenAI and others started it. But what is Microsoft doing on the responsible AI practices, right? To make sure that they are also, impacting the communities, right? In a positive way.
Yep.
Right? So that, like, for example, I saw your Microsoft AI tour that you guys are doing at multiple cities across the US.
It's coming to Houston.
It's coming to Houston, yes.
Yep.
So I'm going to be on video, but my 2 architects buddies, they already signed up for it. Oh, Microsoft is, I definitely have to attend it, right?
Yep.
So those kind of things. Like, what are you doing with the broader community, right? So that's one question. And the second part of the question is, so OpenAI, all of the models were all open.
Yep.
I think now they are all proprietary. There's some business model built around it. I want to understand, right, what is Microsoft's commitment as part of the OpenAI Alliance on open source models, right? And so that, like that kid, like my daughter is in UT right now in the CS department, right?
Yep.
If she needs an open source model from Microsoft, what are options for our students, our, people who want to learn AI?
Yep.
And, and use those models and create like.
Let me replay the questions for the folks online. So first of all, the question in line, what was your first name?
So my first name is Kingshuk.
Kingshuk. I'll do my best. Hopefully I don't butcher that. But Kingshuk said, super impressed with Microsoft's AI capabilities and partnerships with OpenAI. But what are we doing to show leadership around open source models and also kind of giving back to the community and making sure this stuff is more accessible? I'm not going to be able to answer all of those questions. This area is so vast, and I don't know what all of Microsoft plans. But if you let me go through the presentation a little bit, a couple of those will naturally come up. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But great questions. And then we'll come out. I just don't want to steal some thunder for a couple of things coming.
I don't want you to digress either, but those are some of the questions, like.
Great, and they're great questions, and I'll cover them to a certain extent, but then we can talk after. But I'll cover them through the thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The couple of the changes you've seen, right? And then so where is what's been happening, right? First, we had this kind of universal interface, right? Where I can kind of ask me anything, right? Can ask questions. I could do it with pictures. I could do it with videos and stuff like that, and it could response back. That blew everybody away in 2020, 2022, like when OpenAI came out, right? The next level here that's happening is reasoning and planning. So it can actually come in and something just after my screen, which I wasn't expecting. Right. Sorry, give me 1 second. Something just happened to my screen there. I didn't touch anything. That was really weird. Reasoning and planning. So it's actually not just, hey, I'm making a call to it, but I can actually reason on top of that. This third level is memory and context, right? And so memory and context is it knows who I am. It knows what it's looking for this, and it's actually doing things now on my behalf, going out and doing a job. So think of like an agent that's going out, and I train it on a specific thing, and it's going to go, it knows what my needs are, and it's going to constantly go out and look for things like that along those things, kind of doing work for me. Okay. I'm going to show you some examples of what I mean here. So what's really happening now is the next process is you're going to have personalized agents. There's going to be organizational agents and business process agents and cross agents as well. So let me, I'm going to try a video and let's see if this works. I want you guys to actually see this for those that haven't seen it. Escape. And Ron, if we get a thumbs up or see a video is working or audio on the online, let me see. I think I had to unmute this.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me if this is what.
All of these capabilities I just showed can create a hyper-personalized customer service experience that solves real-world problems in ways that we couldn't even have imagined.
So this demo, as I started, I just want to make sure the audio worked for the people online and in the room. This demo is the one that was done at our Ignite conference. And what I want you to get out of this is showing agents, okay? So this guy's going to talk with an agent on the phone, right? This agent now, what I want you to do, the next level of this and where this is going now is he's doing an interpersonal kind of, I'm doing a vacation kind of thing and tell me, but he's communicating with this agent. This agent knows what he's already done. It's actually proactively looking at this. We're going to give you that toolkit. You can create these own agents at work doing things for you and bringing you back information and critical analysis on the things that you train. So that's what I want you to get out of this. Point here watching the guys, this is not something that's like a year down the line. This is now. This is happening right now. So look at the agent stuff. This is more of a consumer example, but you're going to be able to have these at work here.
A year ago. Okay, so I'm going camping. And my friend sent me this picture.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I have the right gear for a winter camping adventure. So I started a chat. Now, notice this is something that's now routine, AI interacting with me with chat and images. But I want to, chat's great. And we all love chat. But what if we can break out of the actual chat box and do a more personalized experience? Because it feels like, AI today, it feels like it's all just like inside of your chat box. It feels like there's a lot of co-pilots and stuff. But what if we could do a little bit more and maybe make it a little more personal, hopefully with a phone call?
Controls a concierge.
Hello, is somebody there?
Yes, I'm here. I see you're getting ready for a winter camping trip. Can I send the concierge page to your browser to provide more details?
You certainly can. Send me to the concierge page, please.
Great. Sending you to the concierge page now. You'll find more detailed guidance there for your winter camping trip.
So this is awesome. What do you recommend for this camping trip?
Hey, that's super exciting that you're gearing up for a camping trip. Since you've already got the Skyview 2-person tent, let's build on that. Here are a few recommendations. First, Mountain Dream sleeping
So
bag.
this is all
This
great. Is
bag
there a way that you can write it up for me so that I can see it, maybe with pictures?
Absolutely.
So right now, what it's doing, it's going to take a couple of seconds to write an entire article for me, just for me. And you're probably wondering, well, hey, it's taking a couple of seconds. When's the last time you wrote a personalized article for someone that called you in 10 seconds?
I'll put together a personalized recommendation article with all these products and their details, complete with pictures. Give me a moment and it should pop up on your screen shortly.
You already did it. This is amazing. I love everything here.
Fantastic to hear, Seth. I'm glad you love the recommendation. Enjoy your camp.
So what I wanted you to get out of that, right? That only was not only an audio assistant. See how he interrupted him midstream and it didn't like have a hiccup. It was actually like having a conversation with a regular person. It had context. It knew what he had done before. It knew who he was. It knew he had already had the tent and said, since you already have the tent, here's the other things you want. Now take this to a work context, right? On things you're doing at work, and it knows what my job is, and I'm a data analyst of this. And now you train that agent to do other things that I'm looking for, new things going on in oil and gas, or new things going on in, say, quantum computing, and to bring me that information on a regular basis where I'm not having to go search for it. The challenge we all have, right, with not just AI and everything, is there's just too much information. You're never going to get through it. What these are tools to slice through that and bring you the needles in the haystack you need to do your job. Does that make sense? And again, these are real. These are here now. It's not something you're going to see in 3 to 5 years. The early folks are going to be early adopters, but you can do these agents now. We're going to give you a toolkit where you can use our agents, or you can just go kind of build your own with the 70% scaffolding that we have. Okay. Go back into this. I want to talk to you about real world. So where are some of our customers that are using this today? In Europe, this bee diversity, they're taking our AI solutions. What they're doing is they're actually analyzing bee honey. This is in Europe. And what they're doing is analyzing the pollen and looking for toxins in the air. And then they're working with community groups and government to see where there's pollution, essentially. And how do we, this is the type of pollution we're seeing. How do we reduce this? This is coming. I mean, kind of game-changing kind of AI stuff. In the UAE, they're taking for math and English for basically essentially kids that can't afford like tutors, right? And things like that. They basically have digital virtual assistants that are essentially a tutor to help kids with math and English that can't afford tutors, right? At a big, a wide scale. Epic in the middle, right? I know Cardinal Health, you guys are here. So Epic, I thought that would be interesting to you as well. We're working closely with Epic. We're with Epic in core and their functionality. It'll be working with the doctor and you, and it'll actually take notes when when the doctor and you are talking, give a summary of those notes, and then even be able to do a transcription of a follow-up note from the doctor about any recommendations and things like that. So what AI is doing is really taking a lot of things we do today, but those are all long form things on how you would do those, and there's too much information, really bringing those and synthesizing those so we can kind of do those much more efficiently for really common tasks, right? These are just a few of the examples that I wanted to pull out and kind of share with you. What we're seeing is AI-driven business transformation, and I can't highlight this enough. I see too many companies, too many people going down the path and doing AI for AI's sake. And you can experiment with a lot of that. You can also waste a lot of money doing that. I would say any AI projects you do, you want to look at the business drivers in your organization or things that are taking you a lot of time, and then visit with Microsoft or your AI partners. And let's take things that can transform your business. Where am I taking 3 to 6 months to do a report or an analysis? And I can do that in 3 minutes or a day. Where am I taking things that are taking a week or something like that? Now I can do something in a matter of minutes. Where can I transform those kind of processes? But it needs to start with the business side and then meet with Microsoft or one of your partners, and then we can come back and tell you what's possible with AI. The mistakes I see with AI is people just go on and play with AI and they don't have a real business case associated with it. That's not a good use of time. It's okay to play with it, but I'd challenge you and your organizations to make sure we're driving something that's core to your business, and let's see how we can change those processes and really deliver the benefits to the business. So the other thing is bending the curve, right? And that's where I mentioned, right? Things that might take a 5-year kind of time horizon, right? Where can we take that thing that it takes a lot of time and now bend that curve so we can do that in 3 months instead of 5 years, right? Those are the other things that we're transforming with AI. And I'll give you some examples of those in a little bit. These are just this is a small smattering of the things that we just kind of mentioned. Enriching employee experience. Here's some of the customers that we're working with that are transforming those, and I'll give you some statistics on those in a little bit. Reinventing customer engagement. How do people engage with the customers? You kind of saw an example of that in the video that I just showed about how you can reinvent how you're going to engage with the customers. How many times you go with a voice assistant, they don't understand anything? That guy was on a stage in front of thousands of people and interacting and cutting her off midstream, and she was catching everything like you and I were having a conversation. You're going to reinvent how you're doing those. And then reshaping business processes. Where are those business processes that are taking a long period of time, and how can I shrink that process, or in the last one, bend the curve, okay? So talk a little about where Microsoft is going with Copilot. We have Copilot devices. Has everybody seen Copilot? I'd like to show a couple things because I found that a lot of people don't really know. I know, Robert, you probably have, but I'm going to show just a couple demos of how I use Copilot on a daily basis. Let me do a couple examples here. I'm going to pull up my email. And I'm going to come into Copilot and I'm going to say, let me minimize this and say, Copilot, tell me all the key items Eric Allen has last 2 days. So I'm asking Copilot to go through my email and tell me all the things that my boss has assigned me in the last 2 days. I basically don't read email. It's a work inhibitor, not a work inhibitor to me. So I'll scan email and do those things. He has gone through the last 2 days of my email, and you can see, and I'm not going to go into this to detail, but it's totally all the things that Eric Kalen has emailed and said, here's the things I have to do. I could go read those 50 emails that have come through from my boss, right? But I'm not going to. But this is how I kind of take these and do this. I also spoke at I used this just the other day, but I'm not sure if you guys know you can do this kind of in email form. But I spoke at a CFO event the other day, and write a thank you email for the CFO conference of CFO CON. Typing and talking is not still one of my specialties. Conference. Let know how a CHOLAR ship. Okay, so I could go and write this email. Probably take me 3 to 5 minutes to get it right. And you can see and you can say take a more, so that it just wrote that email for me, 2 or 3 sentences, right? And I'll say make a more for email. Now I'm telling it to make it a more formal tone to the email, right? So you can change context. I can say to make it longer. I'm not sure how many of you guys are using that. I did pull off this, and you're looking at large sums of data. Let me pull this back up. I pulled up ExxonMobil's earnings report of last year. It's some nice light bedtime reading. But I thought just live on the fly, let's pull out what are the 3 key drivers of Exxon? What are the 3 key drivers of ExxonMobil? I could read through this 110-page report, right? But you can ask and go through this and ask questions of the data. And what did that take? Maybe 4 seconds. It's gone through that whole report, and it's basically pulled out the 3 things. I could ask, what are the 3 biggest risks to their business and things like that. So it's amazing what you can do just kind of with built-in Copilot and things like that. Also, I don't know, I'll just play with this. Here's some funny kind of stuff we're doing, but I don't know how much you guys have played with the visual prompts, but make me a picture, PSE of a car. driving. So I'm just now asking it to make something up that doesn't exist of a car driving on a beach, right? It's going to go and create this and make this image. It takes just a second. And then we can add things to it. I can say, you know, put this kind of person in a seat with person with dark hair, put a pig in the car, different things like that. But it'll kind of give me a couple options to make this. You can even do this with videos. So you can say, hey, create me so there's a car driving on a beach, right? And I could add other things to this. I don't know how much you guys play with this, but it is amazing what you can do with these things. And what I say is, it gives you, it may not be what you ultimately do, but it might give you some visuals to start to give you a couple ideas of what's going, where you're kind of got a little brain freeze or something like that going on. But the AI and the things they're doing is really incredible. So I wanted to give you a little bit of flavor for some of those. Let's go back to the presentation. Raise your hand if all of you in the room and maybe even online, you knew all that stuff was going on right now and you have access to that just via Copilot. You're going to see Copilot, yeah, Robert did. Basically in every product Microsoft has, you're going to see Copilot. It's going to be in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Office. It's going to be in our Fabric product. It's going to be in everything you do. You're going to have a Copilot where we've done this. And not only can you leverage that, this is where you're all going to experience AI. So you may or may not be using this. I promise you, your kids are going to be using this coming in, and the younger people in your organizations, right? And then you're going to be able to take these copilots that Microsoft has built, and here's a 70% scaffolding, and you can build your own copilots leveraging the intellectual property and things like that you have. So you don't have to build the whole thing from scratch. Here's the 70% of the building that's there. You have intellectual property around this. Take the last 30% and add your IP and just build your own copilots. You guys are going to have a lot of that because it's not going to address every single need you have. So you'll be able to take ours off the shelf or take and develop your own. Does that make sense?
Also, like, I like how AI helps with making you more productive and streamline things. But how is it going to affect people's cognitive abilities, like their ability to actually
reason?
Reason. Yeah. Critical thinking.
So the question is, and I think it's a good one. How's it going to affect people's AI going to affect people's cognitive abilities and ability to reason? I got a couple kind of thoughts on that, right?
Okay.
One, I recently went to Canada, and I was too cheap to get the $50 data plan for the 18 hours I was going to be there on my phone. So and at the rental car handler, they gave me a map with the big picture of Toronto, and on the back was the little map of kind of the city streets, right? Mm-hmm. I grew up with a key map back in the day, a 500-page map in my car, and I grew up in Southern California. You couldn't get anywhere with a map, so I know how to navigate that. But I thought, it was dark, it was nighttime, but I navigated and got there, no problem. My kids would have no chance.
Yes.
Like if they couldn't go to the map and zoom in on that and go like this, they would literally have no chance in the dark in Toronto to find this the place. And I had to do 1 or 2 U-turns, but no big deal. And I looked at the map and I kind of flipped around. Oh, okay, this got to be over here. They would have no chance. So I would say also back to calculators, like all this has happened before. I was a history major in college. Think back to calculators, right? And what we thought, oh, calculators, people aren't going to learn math. I think what it's going to do, go back to the thing, I think some of those soft skills will probably go away to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But remember, I also call this, and this is where you have to learn, it's co-pilot, not autopilot, right? I think right now it's getting you, I've seen it, and you'll see the relevancy on kind of what we've seen kind of go up, but I think it's getting you 85, 95% of the way there. But you still need to review this stuff. It's like Copilot with, we have a GitHub Copilot solution with, for developers that do code. It is amazing. Like you don't have to know to write code, but I would say the best developers, you still need to know to write code. It's kind of like doing long division. I could spend an hour doing the long division or boom, here's a long division. I still got to check it over and know what I'm doing to do that, to really take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I think the ones that don't know that you're going to probably make some mistakes. Either the AI isn't exactly 100% right, but man, if it gets me 90% of the way there and saves me 5 hours of doing something, and now I'm smart enough to go through this and do the proofreading, but the ones that don't have those soft skills, now will AI improve over time? It probably will, right? So I think I don't know if there's an exact answer to your question. Some of those soft skills will go, but I think the ones that know how to do that in the back end will still be the ones that will be able to validate that stuff a little bit quicker. But yeah, it's like a calculator. Did everybody forget how to do math because we have calculators? Not really, but maybe do I do all the long division every time? No, I plug it in a calculator. I don't know that that's a full answer. Now, one thing for your question on this on security piece, and this is super important, is Microsoft's view on security. Like in an organization, right? And I'm going to go do a search on Copilot and I'm going to search on my documents or something like that internally. Just because I am who I am, it doesn't mean I have access to everything that, like, say, Satya has access to in his. There's a lot of permission, there's a lot of security and all those things that go into that. So I am permissioned for what I am have access to, and I can't go see, CEO private deals or mergers and acquisitions and stuff we're doing. All of a sudden, that's coming back in a search. So the things that exactly, right? And then also what Microsoft does is all that stuff, probably your data is your data, right? There's not every company in the world thinks your data is your data. They think that's their data. So Microsoft is really big on trust and security because we know, one, nobody's going to use the cloud if they can't trust that cloud. And two, we work with a lot of large enterprise customers, and that data is proprietary to them, and that is their data, and that's the way we do it. So we're really big on the trustworthy computing and how we do that and responsible AI. But that also goes, and this is kind of a difference with us and OpenAI, although OpenAI is a great partner. What Microsoft is doing when you directly with Microsoft and Google Copilot is you get all the enterprise security and all the other things that we do to build in to make sure that data is your data and it's not being used to train other models and those kind of things. And that's where we have a lot of deep conversations when we start working with customers around that. Okay. But I did want to take a pause a moment because anything we're doing with this trust and security is really privacy, safety is one of the very first conversations that we have with our customers when we start going around these projects. You look at all the possibilities, but you have to address this in the very beginning.
So, sorry, I missed you answered that part already. Let's say we have our own version of Copilot, right? And we have all kind of data.
Yep.
There's security clearance for everyone to be able to read what they are able to read. How does a Copilot search would know that I am authorized for this document or for this information or not? Do I need to segregate the data and tag it accordingly before I put a model on top of it?
Yeah, well, so the question in the room was, how do I internally make sure that when I'm doing a search and I'm on Copilot, I'm only getting data access to me? Okay. So that's something we set up on the back end. So there's really kind of two answers to that. One, there's kind of an office persona, right? And the documents that you have access to. There's another one that's like back to data lakes and Fabric and those kind of things in the data. So that's all goes back to permissioning and authentication and what you do. But again, that's part of the conversation that we have in the very beginning of how you set that up. But it's a lot of that's going to go off your AD credentials and what you have access to. That's the single source of truth and how you're authenticating against that stuff. But remember, all of our stuff is already built in to authenticate and do that stuff. You're not having to do different tokens and do this and log in and redo that. Where when you use a lot of other tools, right? this is where I think one of the beauties, when Microsoft does things right, we take really hard things like that and integrate those to make, you could go buy 15 different tools and go do that. But we all have lived that every day and do the nightmare of trying to integrate these 15 different tools from 15 different software vendors. So now I think the beauty of what Microsoft is doing is, hey, you have these other tools you want to use? Great, bring them. We also have an integrated approach where I think we'll get you a lot farther, a lot faster, a lot cheaper if you use our integrated approach. But you know what? You have a cybersecurity tool that you want to use instead of ours. That's fine. Go do that. I think ours will help you get there quicker, but I don't care. You know, what's driving for your business. So I think there's options in both boats. Does that make sense? I did want to talk about the development platform for just a minute. So when you're doing Copilot, and then you have this is the persona off front, right? And then you have this studio, and this is kind of what that agent, we showed the video, kind of what the agent looks like, but then you're going to have these agents that are working on your behalf in the back end and doing that work for you. I think this visual kind of helps you talk about what I did. They're kind of building off of that. And I wanted to let this kind of roll for just a second, but these are some of the business results that we're seeing here, right? When we're working with our customers. But if you look at like 7 weeks save for creating productions instead of 7 months, okay, that's not like, we're not saving, like you're not trimming off 5%. Over 30,000 hours saved on manual processing time. 70% of users are saving between 30 and 60 minutes a day. Take 30 to 60 minutes a day, multiply that times a week, multiply that times a month, right? And you're seeing kind of real savings from these customers. And I'm not just putting up stats. There's stats here with the customers that we're working with on these AI components. And this is, but back to every one of these, we started with the business and what is the business struggling with, and how can we improve business results if we do that. Don't start with a, hey, this will be interesting to do on AI. You have to look at your business, work with your business teams, and find out, hey, what processes are they frustrated with, or can we really burn it or think differently? Does that make sense? That's what I want you to get out of this. I don't want you to think, I'm just seeing too many folks do AI for AI's sake. The other thing I see on AI a lot too is the cost is going down tremendously. I was speaking at a conference last year about this time, and the biggest complaint was the cost of AI. Well, the last 9 months, we've seen the cost of AI just going down and down and down. One, more data centers being built. Over two, there's more competition, which I think competition is great for everybody. And then two, there's less expensive models than we had in the very beginning. We had really expensive we had to take everything. Well, now there's more purpose-driven models, and there's more solutions, and also the customers are getting smarter about what models to use, so they don't have to use the most expensive models. Okay, I could let this roll, but the key point to take away here. This is game changing when you attack the right business process in your organization. And once you do this, right, and you've spent 3, 6, 12, or 18 months, and you've really refined this, you are leapfrog the others in your space, and they may or may not be able to catch up depending on, because you're not going to stop once you say these, right? You're going to, I did this with AI, and you're taking the next leap, and then you're taking the next leap while they're maybe still trying to get their process off the ground. Are we predictive analytics?
Yeah.
I think we're there. I mean, there's a gray area there of like, what do you exactly mean? So we'd want to, how accurate are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's look at this. So this, I think, did I tee you up for this slide here? Here's what we've seen over the last 8 to 12 months.
Okay.
We're seeing a 2x speed increase in addition to the cost coming down. Okay. So the speed of these is now going up, but we're actually seeing a 3x quality improvement on what we have. So in the beginning, when Microsoft and OpenAI and everybody was training these models, they're getting more accurate and more accurate as time goes on, right? So it's kind of like with anything new, that's I think as we see. So I'm not going to say they're perfect, but I have many things that come back and I don't have to change a thing. But it's a lot more accurate than it was, say, 12 or 18 months ago. Does that help? Yeah, and you're going to see constant improvements, but not just constant improvements. You're going to see exponential improvements, because remember, this is learning on top of itself as we're training these things. Yep. Great question. So when you think about Copilot Studio and the autonomous agents, I just want to let this roll. But these are the type of agents that organizations are going to be able to create. We're going to create some of these. You're going to create some of these with your own intellectual property. And all I really wanted to do was kind of give you a feel for some of the type of things that you're going to be able to do to create agents to do work on your behalf, right? And ultimately, what's that going to hopefully allow you to do? Allow you to process. There's really just too much information out there. We don't have time to do this all. So this is going to give you a visual for where you're seeing those. And it's not just what Microsoft doing. We're working with our partners across the spectrum, and they're leveraging these tools to do this and integrate these solutions into solutions that you get from them every day. Okay.
Oh, these are the agents mapping to
Yep.
these applications?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we're working with these companies and we're working with them to leverage these agents, and they're going to build these inside, kind of like I mentioned with Epic a little bit ago, where they're building these type of things. You're going to see our third-party partners that we have in this room. They're taking Microsoft's tools and they're building these agents that you're going to consume as services, right?
So for example, I can open a spreadsheet and say, can you show me data of all the SAP orders from yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah. And let me just show, there was a question room. So can I take data and do something from yesterday? I just wanted to show you something in Excel. Excel. So I'm just going to open up Excel and I'm going to open up Copilot. And I'm going to say, I don't have a sample data. So turn on autosave, search to my OneDrive. Okay. Copilot CRE8, a sample SAP data set for a demo. So I'm asking Copilot to create a sample data set for a demo. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to do an analysis. Now it's going to come back with a smaller data set, right? Because I just put this in here. But imagine you have 10 million lines of Excel, right, or whatever. You're going to be able to go do the same stuff there. Okay, and I'm going to say insert this into the sheet. All right, and I'm going to say what month are my sales the best? So what I'm showing you just in a sort of thing is this, like, this is a very small, easy data set, but you can ask this questions and reason on this. I couldn't determine the best month for sales. Please ensure that your data, what date? Date are sales.
I guess also where you could, implement like more critical thinking, like, if you're more like, you still want to make sure you're engaging your mind, you can get into like, prompt engineering.
100%.
Yeah, and then maybe even, even ask it to, hey, explain this. What was the thought process?
Well, watch this. I'm going to actually show you a demo here of Copilot doing this. So this is an example in Excel of doing kind of sentiment analysis. So this is just an Excel demo.
Okay.
But what she's going to do here is a lot of times, like, you'll have a form where you'll have people have check boxes and it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can easily do what we just did and reason on the data. But a lot of times there's comment fields, right? And if you get 500 or 1,000 people, what do you got to do? You got to read 500 or 1,000 comments. Okay. So talking on a reasoning on the data, I'm going to show this. This was something I pulled off of YouTube last night, and I thought it might be interesting for this audience.
So if your data involves a lot of freely written text like feedback or reviews, you know how time intensive it is to read each single one and decide what to do with it. So for example, here we have A1A car wash reviews. Thumbs up if you know where that comes from. We have reviews like great place, super clean and fast service. Okay, that's a positive review. Terrible experience, the owner is never reachable. Negative, problem is that owner is not reachable. Then we have mixed reviews like good service, but I felt rushed, not sure if I should come back. Neutral reviews like not sure what the fuss is about, it's just a car wash. Kind of sketchy place, owner was barely around. Now there is a pattern here, owner was barely around, owner is never reachable. But you can see how time intensive this is, right? If we had to read all of these reviews, and here we just have 96 rows, it is going to take a lot of time to decide what to do with this and to find improvement, suggestions, and potential. Copilot makes this process super easy. All we have to do is ask it a question. You can also turn on your microphone and just speak the question. I'm just going to type it in. So what I wanted to do is to summarize the reviews. Now, whenever you're working with text, it's always good to use the word summarize in your prompt. And we're going to send this off. Notice also this data set isn't formatted as an official Excel table, but Copilot has picked up the range here and it's analyzing this data, finishing up. And here we have our summary. So we have positive feedback. Many customers praised the cleanliness, fast service, and friendly staff. Some highlighted specific positive experience, such as their car looking brand new and being satisfied. Negative feedback, several customers.
For the sake of time, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah,
It basically took almost 100 things, columns of feedback, broke it down into the 5 key areas and summarized the data for you. So we showed this on, this is common text language in Excel. You can do this in Word or anything like that. But also, this can be on numbers and formulas and values and stuff like that. This is game-changing stuff on saving you time. So I think, does that kind of address your question earlier?
Yeah, I think it's important, like, especially for the younger generation to like understand, like, the importance of questions, how to ask the right couple of questions to get the right.
They've got to learn how to think, right?
Yeah, to think, that's really important.
I completely agree, and that we can get into a whole nother younger generation a topic here, but let's not derail it too much. But the point is, this stuff is here, and I don't think people are you can use this stuff right now today. Everything I showed you is right out there today, and then I think the agent stuff is, I wanted to show you this is where this stuff is going, and not in 2 or 3 years. This is happening kind of now. I'm running a little short on time, so I'm just going to wrap up. You're also going to see Copilot with devices. So Microsoft Surfaces, all of our partners are taking this. You're going to see Copilot branded PCs, but not just our stuff, but all of our partners are taking this and putting Copilot into their thing so that they can have that. You're going to see a whole host of different things that have Copilot on them. I won't let this scroll kind of all the way, but just know not just Microsoft, but our partners are leveraging, and our partners are taking that scaffolding that I said, right? Here's the 70% of the Copilot. They don't have to build that from the ground up, and they have specific intellectual property. They're putting that in their Copilot, and then they're giving that to you and selling that to you with all that stuff done, so they don't have to build the thing from the ground up, right? Microsoft is also committed to be not just the secure, but most resilient platform. I did want to show you this because if we look at Windows 11 and security, I want you to notice all the new things there. Since Windows is essentially a service now, these are things that weren't there 3, 6, 8, 12 months ago, but these are new features when you get updates on your PC that we are just adding, and then you're getting those into that. So this is where, again, things are kind of changing on the fly. Just where you used to have to buy a PC. That's just what that PC was going to be like. And in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, I would get a new PC and I get some new updates. You're getting these updates as they're coming out and refreshing. And you're getting this technology as it comes, right? Developer tools and AI Foundry. I just wanted to touch on this briefly because you can build your own. We've talked about this. I'm running out of time to really go into this AI stack, but we work great with GitHub, who Microsoft owns. We keep them as an independent company and leverage Visual Studio. You can take all this and build all of this yourself through the stack, right? You're going to do Copilot. You're going to leverage Visual Studio. You're going to have a GitHub Copilot, and you can build these your own and leverage the scaffolding that we already built out, right? So it's not just, you'll have the tools that we have, but you don't have to build from the very beginning. You can take everything that we've given you and just add your IP to these things. So lastly, we talked about the amount of money Microsoft is, I think last calendar year, I believe, we opened a data center around the planet every 3 days around the planet. Think about that for a second. Every 3 days, there was a data center, generally in the 1 to 2 to 3 football field size, that we opened around the planet last year, right? And that's not counting the 80 billion that Satya just said the other day that he's doing. The level of investment that Microsoft is making to make this real is really nobody else is doing what we're doing as far as spending on this. And we hope that, the result of that is hopefully our customers are taking advantage of this, and being able to improve these processes like we're talking about.
You guys are still going hard.
What's that?
You guys are still going hard.
Yeah. Oh, they're going incredibly hard. This is how we're doing it. I'm just going to end with this as this flows, but this is some of the, because I'm running short on time, but these are some of the increases again on where we're helping real customers. You can see their logos and the type of things that they're saving with that. So we could go into this topic forever. I'll be here in the room to talk to people locally. Ron, I'm not sure if there's